somber procession makes its way through Southern California as police escort the body of fallen Baldwin Park police officer Samuel Riveros from L.A. to a funeral home in Covina.
And this video just into the Fox 11 newsroom. This is the family of Baldwin Park police officer Samuel Riveros at the funeral home in Covina after that long procession came to an end. Sam Dubin, our photojournalist, was there and brought us this video. Welcome to the Fox 11 News at 10. I'm Susan Hirasuna here for Alex Michelson.
And I'm Christine Devine. New at 10, a community is coming together for vigil and the procession in remembrance of that slain officer. An innocent father of two and a courageous police officer were killed in a shootout in Baldwin Park. Fox 11's Ed Lascos is there live at the vigil in Baldwin Park, and he has the latest for us. Ed.
And Susan, the emotion's still very heavy this late hour after that solemn procession moved through here. The procession for a cop moving by the police station over there, the memorial set up the last 3 days for the officer. To the video we go and a look at the procession as it moved through here through the heart of Baldwin Hills. The hearse stopping here with the flag draped casket of Officer Samuel Riveros in the back. Stopped for about a minute and then slowly moved on, moving under a huge American flag. The first few vehicles behind that hearse, the windows are open, presumably family members. You saw some of them there just a moment ago, and they wiping away tears overcome by the emotions, by the hundreds who came out here, stood by the solemn processions that moved by through the Civic Center Plaza. This procession began miles earlier downtown L.A., as we've seen it before when a law enforcement officer loses their life. The casket loaded into a hearse in the slow procession through the streets of downtown, then onto the freeways, the 10 freeway, the 605 freeway, and eventually here through the streets of Baldwin Park, where Officer Riveros served, honorably made the ultimate sacrifice after 9 years on the force, wearing the badge of courage here. As that procession moved through here, you had hundreds. Some had American flags of their own. Some had candles. Others, most of them really with their cell phones out. They stood. The only noise, that's the only noise you would hear, the sound of sirens from all the law enforcement officers, the big motorcade following the hearse. And then you would hear tears, and then all gives way to cheers. Listen to this.
It's just so sad that he has to, go this way.
And how about everybody clapping and just paying respect?
It's beautiful, emotional, to know that he's gone. We're gonna miss him very much.
It's just overwhelming, like I said, I've lived here 40 years of my life. Never have I witnessed any of this. So the fact that the whole community came together and is here for one another, it's, I think that's the best thing that we could do right now.
I think the emotions are very, very heavy, especially when it comes to the community. I know he was a very great officer that supported school, supported a lot of children. So my respects and condolences to him and his family. But it's a very, very heavy feeling.
Heavy feeling, she says, now live, certainly is heartbroken. Catherine was saying, she also told me, Catherine, she has lived here with a family born, raised here. She's 40 years old. She's been here all of her life. She says she's seen many things here in Baldwin Park, never anything as emotional as this. She was wiping away tears, and she said she would remember this solemn moment for the rest of her life as this tragedy hits home right through this city, honoring the loss of one of their own. For now, we're live. Baldwin Park, back to the west side we go.
An innocent father of two and a courageous police officer killed in a shootout in Baldwin Park. And now the community is coming together for a vigil and the procession in remembrance of that officer. Let's go live to Fox 11's Ed Lascos in Baldwin Park with the latest. Ed?
And Laura, the emotion's still very, very fresh here as that procession just moved by. It's continuing over to Covina and the funeral home there. Elliot will give you a look behind us. Pacific Ave here right in front of the police station. You could hear a pin drop. You had hundreds of people here. They're still milling around in the plaza area there. On the backside is the memorial with all the flowers and the well wishes and the candles. But hundreds line this route here on Pacific Ave, and silence as the hearse came by with a flag draped casket of Officer Riveros. And then as it drove by, a few minutes later, they started clapping, applauding, hundreds of people clapping, applauding. There were ways I've been talking to some of the folks of saying thank you to the officer for his service in making the ultimate sacrifice. Some video now will give you a look at this solemn procession as it's been playing out over almost the last hour, really through the heart of Baldwin Park, but starting in downtown LA at the coroner's office, taking out the flag draped casket and putting it in the hearse, and surrounded by so many law enforcement officers from Baldwin Park, from the entire area, San Gabriel Valley, LAPD, the Sheriff's Department, you name the department, they were all there standing at attention. And then the solemn, slow procession along the freeways, the 10 freeway, the 605 freeway, and eventually here on city streets in Baldwin Park. Along the way, silence, folks saluting, officers, law enforcement officers saluting, fire department personnel waiting, and then procession makes its way here through the heart of Baldwin Park. The last time that Officer Riveros will be making his last pass by the police station here after some 9 years of service, wearing that badge as this procession moves out. And as it went by here, and the hearse actually stopped for about a minute, and then it drove off. Several of the vehicles right behind, some of the black Suburbans, presumably family members of the officer, the windows were down, and they were wiping away tears. An emotional moment as they saw this crowd of hundreds of people in his hometown showing up, paying their respect as that procession moved on through. And then you had a long line, dozens and dozens of black and white officers, many from different departments. They had their windows down, and I got to tell you, many of them were wiping away tears too. You could see it particularly the officers in the front seat as they went by here. They're taken out. You know, they get a lot of times a bad reputation, sadly, but they realize, and I think this is good for everyone to see, and for the officers, those brave men and women, to see that they're not alone when they deal with a tragedy like this. As we come back out live, the huge American flag here draped up over the procession route as it went through the heart of Baldwin Park. That's LA County Fire Engine 29 that had set that up. So we still have hundreds of folks, and most of them now have moved off the route, this Pacific Ave area. They've moved over to the lawn area, paying their respects over to the memorial that's been growing over the last 3 days. I've been saying growing by the very minute. More people bringing in flowers, bringing wreaths, candles, and many folks just bowing their heads and saying a prayer or two. And when you're over there, it is very quiet. You can hear the sniffling. You hear some folks crying, shedding a tear. That's how the emotions, ladies, are still very, very raw here. What is it? 3 nights since that horrible, deadly gunfight, and it's still an open wound right through the city.
You know, Ed, I'm glad that you were able to give us a sense of what it was like on the ground. We watched a lot of it from the air, but the reverence of the moment is what I'm feeling from your report, that people who are veritable strangers feeling as though they knew this officer.
Yes, very much so. They certainly knew of him, his dedication, his commitment to all the time he put into the city, from Little League, from the Explorers program, the everything. He would bake sales or something. He would show up. He was very much, as one lady was telling me through her tears a little while ago, he was the lifeblood of this city. And then to give his life was the final, ultimate sacrifice in trying to protect everybody from this city. But many of the folks coming here, and I've been talking to some of them, there's a man with his Dodger shirt on. That was part of their tribute tonight, because Officer Riveros, as you know, he was such a big Dodger fan, and he let everybody know it. Certainly, ladies, you know about that. And he was very fond of traveling and watching the Dodgers play in the stadiums across the country. And he would come back and tell all the officers, you know, in the department, guess where I was, and we saw the Dodgers, and they won on the road. So that was a very big part of who he was, and he was very active with the local Little League program here in Baldwin Park. So yes, great deal of reverence. Most of the folks, certainly the hundreds here, did not know the officer, but they knew what he stood for, and it was really amazing at the end as that hearse moved by slowly under the huge American flag. They started clapping. Hundreds of people just in silence just started applauding the officer and the sacrifice that he made for their city.
Thank you so much, Ed, for describing that emotional support shown on the streets here today. Thank you.
Baldwin.